Transferring college student loan debt to taxpayers became a significant contentious issue during the Biden administration, which Congress and President Trump largely ended, calling it unfair, irresponsible, and beyond the scope of executive authority. However, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which also shifts college loan debt to taxpayers, remains. And some lawmakers argue it, too, has become too expensive, costing nearly $30 billion. Joining me now to discuss is the Senior Director of Government Affairs at the National Taxpayers Union, Tommy Aiello. Good morning to you, Tommy. Welcome to the National News Desk.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
This program was created in 2007 under then President George W. Bush. Tell us more about this program. How does it work? Who benefits from it?
Yeah, it's one of those programs where it sounds good at the time, but 20 years later, it just doesn't work. Essentially what it says is if you work for a state, local, federal government, or for a nonprofit, after 10 years, you get all of your federal debt wiped away. And we know that that just doesn't get wiped away. It gets shifted over to taxpayers. This program costs about $3 billion a year, $30 billion over 10. Originally, it was only estimated to cost a few $1 million a year, and it's just ballooned given the high cost of college and the reason why people go into the government service. So we just think that it's an expensive program. Only 38% of Americans have a college degree, meaning that plumbers and other blue-collar workers have to subsidize people that sit in offices. It's just not fair.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, only about a third of American adults hold that bachelor's degree, yet the majority of taxpayers are expected to pay for their loans. Some lawmakers have argued the intent of that program has changed from perhaps, attracting and retaining those who decide to go into public service, which was typically associated with lower pay, to now this bailout for privileged government bureaucrats who have greater job security and greater benefits. It essentially also means forgiving loans based on job titles rather than financial needs. So what's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's a real problem. Right now, there's about 2.5 million people that are enrolled in the program, and the average person that's in this program has $80,000 of debt shifted from their books over to taxpayers. So it is an expensive program that doesn't benefit a whole lot of people in the grand scheme of things. So the way we look at it is if you work for a federal agency, whether you work for the state or local or here in D.C., at the end of the day, you have great benefits. You have an incredible retirement package, really strong health care, and that job security. You're very unlikely to be fired or let go if you work for a government agency. And if you work for a nonprofit organization, you don't pay any income tax. Your organization doesn't pay any income tax. So there's this notion that there's double dipping. You get all of these benefits, but at the end of the day, after 10 years of minimum payments, which could be as little as $100 a month, you get $80,000 of your debt wiped away. We just think Congress needs to step in and act with some solutions.
Yeah. So a nurse who works for a nonprofit hospital could get these loans forgiven, but a nurse working for a for-profit hospital will have to repay. Those two people have the identical debt load and, public-spirited intentions, yet treated differently because of their, as you mentioned, their employer's IRS tax designation. So what's the solution here? What do you recommend?
So we're working with Congress right now. One, we want to elevate this issue to their attention. A lot of people don't even know it exists. It's just a program, a $30 billion program growing that's on autopilot. So we'd like to see a few different things. One, I think from a principal level, we'd like to see the elimination of the program. But there are many other options to reform it in a pro-taxpayer way. That means capping the benefit potentially at $10,000. We could save $25 billion if we did that. Imposing an income requirement where saying if you make what the average American makes, you're eligible, but anything over that, you're ineligible for the program. We think this is a good idea because you could be making $200,000, $300,000 a year, making your $100 minimum payment, and still have $80,000 of your debt wiped away. That's just unfair. And then finally, if we could just include this in reconciliation, we think that this has a real good shot of making it to the president's desk if they decide to do that second reconciliation.
What's so wild is that there were none of those parameters made in 2007. So that, as you mentioned, somebody who's making $200,000 or $300,000 and paying the bare minimum of their loan is still transferring their debt to taxpayers, which is wild. All right. Senior Director of Government Affairs at the National Taxpayers Union, Tommy Aiello. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.